Our guest today joins us from his office in Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida. He is the executive director of the Players Championship, Mr. Lee Smith. Lee, thanks for joining us, man. It's great to have you with us.
Absolutely, Tom. Thank you. Thanks for sporting the shirt. Got the pin flag in the background. Love the representation.
Oh, but this is in the way. You got the cap over here too. Hey, you had some time to decompress?
Yeah, it's I think you take a couple hours to decompress. I always equate it, with the team to winning the Super Bowl, right? Patrick Mahomes, win or loses the Super Bowl, they get to celebrate for a minute, but a lot of focus on the following year. So we've had 5 or 6 meetings already on 28 or 26 and beyond, and focus on always just getting bigger and better from year to year.
Let's talk about what you were doing this time last year, because you had some course changes. You're working with the staff at TPC Sawgrass, agronomy, and all that. The major changes that we saw were the par 5 second, the par 5 11th, the par 4 14th. We'll save the best for last, the tree on number 6.
Yep.
Go through those and how those affected play this year.
Yeah, we're always looking with our competitions team, our agronomy team, as well as with our player consultant Davis Love, a champion here at the Players that knows this golf course really well, to continue to create the origin that Mr. Dye intended when he built the golf course originally. So, the opportunity to kind of take what is a little bit of added length, but to again identify those angles that he really intended. Hole 2 of hitting a bigger draw around that corner, and then have to hit it left or right into the green, or 11 kind of calling for a right to left tee shot and hitting a left or right shot into the green. Those types of things. The work done on 14 of being able to see the water on the left, which kind of invites a tee shot to the right, but understanding that there is a bunker protecting that water on the left on 14, and hitting it to the right is ultimately going to be more penal than being in that fairway bunker. So, just really trying to take all of the symbols, the ideas, and the functionality of the golf course that Mr. Dye intended, and kind of reinventing that in the game of the future.
Did it work out the way you thought for the? Let's keep it on those 3 holes, because 14 is a monster anyway. But boy, the new moguls on the right, redesign and all that. Boy, it's really something now.
Yeah, I haven't seen, Tom, the all of the data, but our rules and competition staff monitor that on a daily basis. We actually have a brand new tool that came about with our partners at Morgan Stanley, that I think is a really cool thing for those golf aficionados. Our rules and competitions team is using AI and historical data to really simulate how a golf court or a golf hole can play based on the setup, the weather, the height of cut, where they put the tee blocks, where they put the hole location, and they can put all of this data, call it into a pool. And even have drop down boxes as to how fast are the greens rolling that particular day, and all of those types of things. And it'll simulate, how the field of 144 is going to play that hole. So, it's one of those things that we're always trying to use data. I think what used to maybe be 90% art in setting up a golf course now is maybe 50% data and 50% art, which I think is a good balance. I don't think anybody wants to lose really the feel side of golf, but being able to use historical data, especially with all of the shot link and radars on this golf course, and the fact that we play the same golf course every year, really provides us with a lot of feedback, so to speak, on how to set up the golf course. And I think in the end, all of the changes were very close to what we intended. We didn't expect, a hole to play a shot harder or anything like that. We just, always want the golf course to identify the best player that particular week. And certainly this particular week it did in Rory.
Yeah. 6 got a lot of positive airtime on NBC with the tree, the old tree, the new tree. The old tree, I guess part of it is right inside the clubhouse, right by the hostess stand, right? There's a tribute to it in the clubhouse. But talk about the decision to bring the new tree. I think Davis Love was a big part of that, but talk about what went on there, because this is a really, really cool story.
It is. It's a fascinating story, and you're right. When we lost the tree in 2014, we converted that tree into a couple of benches. That one is in the clubhouse. I think one was given to Mr. Dye. One I think is in our agronomy command center. And so there's tributes to that tree. But 10 years later, I always joke that we ended up finding this tree, Tom, only about 100 yards down the right side of the rough there on number 6, but we didn't find it for 10 years. And I'm always joking, how hard were we looking if this was only 100 yards down the fairway? What would we have done if we would have found this tree over on 14 on the other side of the golf course? But the Herculean effort that it took, to bringing, again, going back to Mr. Dye, just an iconic symbol that he intentionally left behind, to be on a hole that is in between, just a really devilish hole in number 5, a difficult hole in number 7, with a relatively straight par 4 and relatively short compared to others, to add not a water hazard or a sand hazard, but to add a mental hazard that is kind of in your way. And so that was really the focus, was how do we bring that intentional symbol that he left behind back into play? And finding that tree, Tom, it ended up being, I think it ended up being like 250 tons. We were able to move it. The root ball of the tree was 45 feet in diameter, and we moved this tree actually on multiple bladders. So you kind of rolled it on these air bladders, and when it got off of one, you took the one from the back and the one from the front. And I'll leave out the part where we broke a bunch of cart path panels and irrigation lines. But to put that tree and plant that tree in early July, and only 9 months later to see it in place, how it impacted play, and just hearing the feedback. I always say, some of the most popular things in the world, especially in sports, are the ones that half the people love and half the people hate, right? So
Yeah.
it wasn't there for everybody to love. It was there as a symbol and a nod back to Mr. Dye, and certainly and really to garner some additional respect for hole number 6.
Yeah, and hats off to the team too, because it looks like it's always been there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, that certainly was the intention, is that only 9 months later is to really get a feel for, not only does it have the look of and similarities to the old tree, it's much fuller, much more robust, but that arm has a similarity, but to always look like, it had been there since the beginning, and it really does.
Yeah. So Sunday and Monday prior to the tournament, Ponte Vedra gets deluged with rain. What's going through your mind right then? Because Scotty goes 20 under the year before. You've got 2 right behind him in 19 under. Are you thinking, oh boy, this is going to make this sucker real soft?
Yeah, any time you're putting on a tournament at this scale, Tom, you hope that you get to control green speeds and firmness of the golf course and all of those types of things. But as we all know, Mother Nature sometimes has different ideas. So her bringing that 3.5 inches, knew that the place was going to play maybe a little bit softer throughout the week. But I would say a couple of things to that. One, the way this golf course drains, our agronomic procedures of top dressing and those types of things from a fairways standpoint and greens really allows it to drain really fast. And then as the week went along and we looked at the forecast, and 20 and 25 mile an hour winds, on Saturday and Sunday, some of that rain was almost turned out to be a blessing in disguise, and it allowed the greens not to get too awful dry and baked out on Saturday and Sunday, and really allowed us not to have to turn on irrigation too awful much and those types of things. So while it wasn't the greatest start to the week from a control standpoint, certainly the way the golf course played Saturday, Sunday, while we'd love it to be just a little bit firmer, still certainly presented a good test and provided the drama, and certainly the outlook and the difficulty, for that matter, coming down the stretch with the winds on the weekend.
Yeah, one more on the course and what you're setting up. You're a historian of the game, Lee, and you remember the '73 U.S. Open where Johnny Miller shoots 63 at Oakmont and lights it up, and you remember what happened next year, right? The massacre at Winged Foot +7.
Yeah.
I mean, that never goes through your head, right? Because this is the championship for the best players in the world. I mean, you could make this thing play so hard, but you got a fine line here. You want to give them the test. They want a test. And then you've got Mother Nature coming into play. So really anything can happen.
Yeah, look, Tom, I think a couple things. I think number one, you start with the fans. What do fans want? And I think fans want to see the best golf. And if the best golf means eagles and birdies coming down the stretch on holes like 11 and 16, and a wedge in your hand on 17, and a great shot is rewarded with a birdie or an eagle to catch a leader or catch somebody in front of you. I think that's really, really important. But at the same time, fans want to see difficulty, and fans want to see why the elite players are the elite players. And so coming down the stretch when you have to play 14 and 15 and 18 in order to close the deal, I think fans want to see holes that par is a really, really good score. So I think we try to set up the golf course from the beginning, not with a score in mind, but with, again, the identification of the best player. And that's one thing that this golf course seems to always do, is whether you hit it right to left, left to right, high, low, long, short, you name it, it's just going to identify the best player on that particular week. And obviously Scotty 2 years in a row, and Rory, the number one and the number two players in the world, it just seems to always deliver when it comes to that.
Yeah, talk about Rory. I mean, he's playing probably the best golf of anybody right now. He won earlier this year at Pebble Beach, and now he wins this one. And then you have JJ right with him, who hit 16. Was it 16 greens in regulation? I mean, unbelievable.
I think that's right. His ball striking was off the charts.
And then they come back on Monday, and all the fans that turned out. It's just incredible for the aggregate playoff.
Yeah, Tom, again, going back to setup of the golf course, I think sometimes what people don't realize is, you set up a golf course, you tend to, obviously there's data and like we said with art, but you set up a golf course for certain conditions on Sunday, and I may get the directions opposite, but if I remember right, I think the wind was coming out of the south on Sunday, 20 to 25 miles an hour. Mm-hmm. So, a golf course tends to be set up a little bit differently when you have a directional wind like that and as strong as it is. Now you don't get finished, or the decision is made for us. We start early. We want to get finished on Championship Sunday. But now all of a sudden that completely goes opposite for Monday. And now it's bitter cold. It's in the 50s. And now we've got a 20 to 25 mile an hour wind coming out of the north. And again, for those golf sickos like myself, that's a great test. What they had to play 16 into the wind and 17 downwind on Sunday, Sunday. Now they've got to play 16 downwind and 17 into the wind. So it completely reverses. And made for a lot of drama. And then, as you said, the support that we get from the fans, and to have those fans come back on Monday. I think Rory said it best, right? He doesn't think anybody works on Mondays in Jacksonville and in St. John's and Ponte Vedra, just because, the fans turned out unbelievably to follow those two guys. And not only is the drama of winning the Players Championship and a large purse and everything that goes along with that. But to play, what we think is the most famous 3 holes in golf, 3-hole stretch in golf with an unbelievable crowd around 16, 17, 18, just made for an awesome Monday finish.
Lee, we'll get you out here on this one. It's not just you and your team, but it's also agronomy. It's also Matt Boras and his team there, and it's also the Redcoats. Can you talk about, kind of sing the praises of all those that you're working with?
Yeah, it's unreal, Tom. I would start with, I think when I came down here and told some people that maybe don't know golf, that this was my job. I got questioned a couple of times, is that a year-round job? Do you do that year round? And I said, yes, this is a year round job. And the team that I work with, whether it's our sales team, our operations team, community outreach team, tournament services, activation services, you name it, from top to bottom, it's a massive effort. And we have a lot of people that work on this tournament year round that bleed the blue and gold of players' colors. And then you combine that, as you said, with our partners over at TPC Sawgrass and Matt and Derek before him and Doug in food and beverage and Jeff and Lucas in agronomy. We all want to put on a great show, and a lot of moving parts go along with that. And then the last part is our volunteer force. Tom, 2,100 volunteers, 68,000 hours that they serve on behalf of this tournament, really with a true servant's heart and an incentive to turn around and provide proceeds to worthwhile organizations in Northeast Florida that we're so proud to do. It's just a massive effort, and all of those volunteers and those service hours, this year we're led by Tyler Oldenburg, we're our Redcoat, and Mark Hassan next year, Lee Nimnick before that, and all of the Redcoats that really do such a great job advocating for this tournament and business participation and all of those types of things year round. It's a major effort that I'm certainly proud to be our representative year round, in that effort. But at the same time, look forward to growing the business and getting bigger and better as we go forward.
Lee Smith, man, it's been great having you on. Thanks so much for taking the time. You're a busy guy. Maybe we can do this again later in the year after you get some changes to the course and can kind of prep us for what's going to happen in 2026.
I'd love to do that, Tom. We're working hard on those things now, and as we did for 25, we'll always have new innovations, new changes, new fan activations, new partners, all that type of thing. Love to share it with you.
Thanks so much, Lee. We'll do it again.
You got it. Thanks, Tom.